Earlier this year, I had the opportunity to hear Elaine speak at a Sustainability Circle conference in Cleveland. She inspired me, personally, and my staff, to look beyond the low-hanging fruit when attaining sustainability and go after the big goals, which, as we know, many times has the biggest returns and the largest rewards. So, without any more hesitation, please join me in welcoming Elaine Gallagher Adams.
So happy to be here. This is an area I don't usually get to, and I really enjoyed my tour of Akron yesterday. Thank you so much. Saw some great things happening here, and I'm just pleased to be here. I'm gonna grab my little thing here. Showing. I am here to talk to you about reinventing fire. That is an RMI initiative, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. RMI is a nonprofit think tank. We call ourselves a think and do tank. I'm a doer. There are other people in the organization that are more thinkers. I work on real projects. We have this little war inside, you can tell. We also have the left brain, right brain war. I'm an architect, I'm right brain. I have to work with engineers all the time. I know there's some in the room. You know who you are. To be truly innovative, though, you have to combine that left brain, right brain synthesis, right? So we get some really big ideas. What Yolanda was talking to was the big, fat, audacious ideas. And that's what we need to strive for, or else we're not going to make any progress. And it's really exciting to be in the middle of this whirlwind of big, fat, audacious ideas. Obviously, I love my job. And I want everybody else to think it's just as exciting to be in the middle of that same whirlwind right now. It's an amazing place to be. We live on an amazing planet, surprisingly fragile, and we're burning it. We've been burning it since the Industrial Revolution. We can't continue to do that, can we? The world has ecological limits. I grew up in East Tennessee playing in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains. We now have a third of the trout population in the Smoky Mountains, largely attributed to the fallout from our coal-fired power plants in eastern Kentucky, Tennessee, West Virginia. It's been devastating. We've lost entire species of trees in what was one of the richest ecosystems on the planet. This has been very painful to watch. We have trash heaps in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, outside of our cities. There's a great saying right now that says, when you throw something away, where is away, right? Where's away? We have limits. We have an epidemic of energy apathy. I talk to people all the time. I say, where does your energy come from? Where does your water come from? Very few people really understand where their energy comes from. I talked to my very conservative parents in East Tennessee. I said, Dad, you need to think green, reduce your energy use. He says, oh, it's all hydropower from TVA. I said, no, Dad, only 30% of your energy is coming from hydropower. Learn where your energy is coming from. It's important. The top left is a drought. Drought-ridden Texas. Worst drought they've seen in a long, long time, possibly recorded history. They've lost cattle, they've lost crops. It has been absolutely devastating in Texas. And all while that's happening, the fracking companies are hauling truckloads full of water. 4.5 million gallons of water per fracking operation, driving past these farms that are struggling in this horrible drought. Where are the priorities? The top one, obviously, is the Deepwater Horizon catastrophe. We paid a huge price for that. We're still paying it. You know, a big glob of oil came up in the Gulf just 2 weeks ago, directly connected to the Deepwater Horizon. We're still paying for it. The bottom left is Canada. Anthropogenic deforestation. This is us. We're tearing down those trees in the name of tar sand oil. Absolute devastation in what was pristine wilderness. We have 61 trees per person on the planet right now, according to the NASA survey. 61! How many magazines do you get? How often do you print your emails? What do you build your houses out of? 61 trees. That sounds really small to me. I don't know about you. Makes me want to go out and plant 100 more in my name. You know, we need 100 trees for every car parked in your garage. Start there. It's an interesting way to go. I keep trying to get that pushed into zoning codes. If you build a 2-car garage, you are responsible for planting 200 trees somewhere in your region. That's interesting, isn't it? That's my municipal carbon economy, right? The lower run, just picture taken just this spring at a water auction in the Front Range of Colorado. Traditionally, if we have water left over, we auction it off to agriculture interests. Usually small farms, family farms. The big ones are okay. The small ones need the extra water. This year, for the first time ever, we had energy companies attend that auction and outbid our farmers for the water. When they do that, they're putting that into the fracking operations. When you use water for a fracking operation, it has to be, by law, sequestered below any aquifer, so we don't see the tainted water ever again. But also by doing that, it's out of the natural water cycle forever. It's gone forever. And it's certainly not going to find its way back to the agricultural interests. Again, we're prioritizing energy over food. What is with us? How apathetic is society going to get before we realize maybe that's not such a great way to go? Right now, 4/5 of our energy, 4/5 of our worldwide energy, comes from burning stuff. As our chief scientist, Amy Levins, likes to say, we burn primordial goo in the name of progress. And actually that's a 17th or 18th century technology, burning goo, right? You think about it. What does 21st century energy look like? We think it's a very different scenario. My voice, my thing's going on and off, isn't it? Of that 80% energy that we're burning, half of that is oil, and most of that goes to transportation. The other half of that is electricity, goes to electricity, I should say, because we're burning both gas and coal to do that. And of that electricity, 2/3 of that, or 3/4, between 2/3 and 3/4, is going directly into our buildings. So me being a bricks and mortar person, I find that really intriguing. What can I do to design my cities better so that I use less oil in transportation? And how can I take back the architecture, design better buildings, and use far less electricity? You know, my interns build these things, and I have to wait for them to go. Sorry. I talk too fast to let those dry. So what we think should be the view, well, I should say right now, we have a disconnected system, right? We have energy, we have our electricity system connected to our buildings, a little bit to industry. We have our oil system connected a little bit to industry and a lot to transportation. It's all kind of disconnected. We think this is the way to go. We think the real opportunity here is to connect everything. Connectivity is everything. How systems connect to one another. Sure, you're doing this program here, but how can you connect to what's happening over here? Maybe these guys have a resource that they're getting rid of that you need. How connected can we get? The telecom industry is really interested in smart grid. Smart grid is really about communication, right? Smart grid is two-way communication in the electricity grid. That's all it is. It's not that smart, I guess. It's common sense. But if you even look at the evolution of the telecommunications industry, it's paralleling the energy industry, where now we're getting more distributed and yet more connected at the same time. I saw a great demonstration the other day. Tendril has these energy monitors for homes, and they're working directly with utilities to get these installed. And it lets you control individual appliances in your home from your smartphone. And they're just getting their feet off the ground here, getting some momentum going. And he showed me how I can know when the television goes on at 4:15 in the afternoon, when my children have just come home from school, and I can turn it off. I said, my God, man, why are you wasting time marketing to the utilities? You should be marketing to every mother in the United States. I could be in Paris and turn off my kids' TV, and I could probably hear the groom from there, right? But this is amazing how how everything can talk and connect. When you realize that you can run the average American home for 4 hours of a Prius battery, that's interesting, isn't it? What does that do to peak loads? Can we cut off peak loads by shifting our energy source to our cars parked in our garages? Maybe that's our shift fuel between solar and wind at night, because they always say there's always kind of a quiet section in the middle there. Maybe we just run our homes off our cars until the wind picks up. There are a lot of people working on that. Very exciting. We think that instead of this scenario for the United States, where we're dominated by fossil fuel energy, this is where we can go. And it's more than just thinking it. We've done the calculations for 3 years. We've talked to every industry analyst we can find. Not only can we do this mathematically, we can do this with no policy changes, or very little policy changes, just the ones that are already in place right now, like energy codes and what have you. And it's a bottom-up approach. This is led by business for profit. There's money in them there hills, isn't there? It's hard to read that, I know. That is our energy mix from now until 2050. Right now, it's heavy on oil. I think coal is the blue, I think. Red is the oil. And we know that by 2050, we can get all the way off of fossil fuels except for gas. We acknowledge that gas is going to be a bridging fuel for a little while longer. The blue swath that grows exponentially is efficiency. Efficiency is the 5th fuel, and it is more powerful than any burning fuel we can find, even more powerful than sun. Efficiency is it. This is not conservation, this is not doing without. This is designing better things for us to run. Better buildings, better gizmos that work on less energy. We don't need to use that much energy. We have this incredible potential. Here, especially in the United States, we have minds working on these problems, and we are getting so much better. When you look at an Energy Star appliance, make sure it's on the top range of Energy Star, and you'll be amazed at how much energy you can save. If we follow that path, there is a $5 trillion treasure at the end of it right now. $5 trillion in savings if we take this path to switch off of fossil fuels by 2050. More if we can do it quicker. 1.4 million of that is only related to building energy. How much of that do you want? That's a pretty big pie, isn't it? And there's a lot of people who have figured that out, and a lot of people investing in building energy efficiency, appliance efficiency, and renewable energy. We can grow our economy 158%. That's 2.5 times the size it is now. Don't let anybody tell you differently. This is an economic development boom waiting to happen. And where it has happened, we're seeing it. It creates lots of jobs, especially when we're looking at green buildings. There's great legislation out there trying to incentivize building retrofits. More than that, we just want transparency. I want to make sure that the buildings are performing the way that they're telling us they're going to perform. LEED, the Leadership for Energy and Environmental Design Green Standards for Buildings, comes under a lot of fire because they have no accountability. That's going to change very quickly. We're going to hold people accountable and make sure that the buildings are operating at a high level of efficiency. We can do that. We know how. No nuclear, no oil, no coal. We can do it. It's going to change everything. It's a game changer. At Rocky Mountain Institute, as a result of our work under Reinventing Fire, we've launched a lot of initiatives. I can talk about some of them. I'm knee-deep into our retrofit initiative with a capital F. This is all about commercial building retrofits, getting people away from the anemic energy goals where it's top-down. You start with a really bad energy performance and you see if you can improve it a little bit. I get sick to 17% goal comes up all the time. You know, you're doing really bad, I want to save 17% energy. Either people are into numerology or something, I don't know where the 17% comes from, but we're shooting for 50, 60% savings. We can do that. We know how, it's really not rocket science. I'll show you a couple of case studies to show you how simple it is to do some of these. We have our super efficient housing initiative, looking at low-income housing held to a higher standard. Some of these people are the least able people to afford the swings, the uncertainties of fuel costs and a bad house and a poorly designed house. We have hotter summers than we've ever seen. We have people dying in poorly made buildings, and it's the fault of my industry, architects, that we're not designing better buildings that can withstand that kind of a temperature swing, that it's killing people, elderly people in their homes, right? Well, we can design better homes for the low-income families, and that's what super efficient homes does. We've got 10xe. 10xe is 10 times exponential efficiency. This is really exciting, and if you want to find specific principles for exponentially efficient design, whether it's a system, a building, or pipes and pumps, check our website, look up 10xe. I do my XE and I know it thing. My daughter hates that. We have eLab. Our eLab is a brand new organization of utilities and entrepreneurs working to redefine what the utility system looks like. We have a big broken grid, and we can fix it. If you think about the evolution of electricity, we start with conservation. We started with very few fuels. We had whale oil, a couple other oils, you used it very sparingly. Then we went to generation. We were able to generate energy, usually only in cities. And then we went to consumption, conspicuous consumption for a while, right? Especially through the middle of the 20th century. We used a lot of energy. And then we found ourselves in this period of innovation. We can generate energy from the sun, from the wind. This is incredible. We are so innovative. Although we've come back around and realized that what we really need to make this work is efficiency. Energy efficiency is the most powerful of all those iterations of energy. So we're focused on efficiency. I'm working on a project right now. It's called the Retrofit Challenge. We're working on lots of buildings at a time. I'm tired personally of doing one building at a time. It's not going to get us where we need to go fast enough. So we're looking for portfolio owners of 100 buildings and more. Our first signee to my challenge was AT&T, 64,000 structures in their portfolio. That's what I'm talking about, right? We have, you know, the average building in somebody's corporate portfolio is probably the middle guy there. We're trying to push them toward the fully evolved man. If you haven't even commissioned your buildings, you've got a monkey on your hands, right? It's just not there. We can do better. Probably our most famous case study is the Empire State Building project. Yes, it's an iconic building, but it's an historic building. It's thermal mass, it's brick. It's got a lot of the same problems that a lot of other buildings have. We solved it by doing some very simple things. We put a radiative barrier behind radiators, simple as that, it's $1.50. Redirected the heat back into the building. 2/3 of the heat was going right out the wall. We improved the windows, retrofitted 6,514 windows, all operable, by the way, in the Empire State Building. Gives me the creeps when I think about opening a window on the 100th floor. I get sucked right out that 4-inch opening. But it was amazing. And what we found out too was that window retrofits are cost effective. People don't think about those enough. Again, not rocket science. We were able to save, initially we estimated 39% energy savings. The building's been operating now with its new improvements. We're achieving 43% savings. Some of the tenants that have gone into the building have done even more. They're achieving upwards of 50% energy savings. This is not rocket science. The building was built in 1920 something, the early 20s, right? If that building can do that, anybody can do that. We start with the technical potential. And what we did was we identified about 8 energy conservation measures that we wanted to utilize. And yes, that cost extra money. However, when you bundle all those things together, We saved a lot of money. We were able to downsize chillers, get rid of entire systems. And then in the end, after only 3 years of operations, we were well beyond what we had invested in the building. Talk to the owner, Tony Malkin, he'll tell you it was quicker than that because he was able to triple the rent rates. He said the payback was really about 9 months. Now the Empire State Building is a desirable address. I never knew it before, but nobody wanted to live there, to move there. So it's all office. It was like 40% occupancy rate in that building before we did this. Now they have a waiting list. It's incredible. Tell me that's not a business case. Goes beyond energy, right? The Byron Rogers Federal Office Building in Denver, federal project, building's terrible, at a weird angle. We developed a thermal mass system. We were able to capture the heat and put it in the basement until we needed it and bring it back out. Same with cooling. Just move it from one side to the other. This building's going to outperform the brand new National Renewable Energy Lab building down the street. I love that. This is technically an historic building. Push the envelope. Indianapolis City County building. We had a big charrette. I said, please, 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 can we get the building maintenance people in this room? And the facility director said, oh, they're awfully busy. I said, get them in here, just for a little while. Turned out we had a sump pump running in the basement that was pumping 225 gallons per minute of water out of their basement because of a high water table since 1959. They're going to save almost 50% energy in this project just by capturing the heating and cooling aspects of that water and redirecting some of the heat from their data center and a couple other things. It's amazing. It's all about opportunity, about finding opportunities, really mining for them. Don't follow the same paths. We call that infectious repetitis. But good things are really happening, and it's not just RMI, although we do get to stick our hands in a lot of them. We have advances in efficiency, which I've told you about, advances in technology, cool stuff happening, come find me afterwards, I can tell you. Changing attitudes. Attitudes is everything. See how many people in this room? You're interested in sustainability. This is big, and you're business leaders. That's huge. Potential of technology. We know we can get photovoltaic panels, double capacity of what we have right now. Right now, the best panels on the market are about 22% efficient. We can get to 40-something probably within the next 20 years. It doubles the capacity of our energy generation within the same real estate. How exciting is that? Energy codes are getting tougher. If you build a building today, you better be shooting for some pretty good savings because your building might not even meet the energy code when the doors open. They're moving very quickly. We have retrofit materials available on our website. Hey, I'm actually right on time. I can't believe this. I always talk over, but I purposely didn't drink coffee today. These are great for anybody responsible for buildings, interested in retrofits. This is how to run a deep energy retrofit project or a program. It goes beyond lighting retrofits and changing out your light bulbs or your occupancy sensors. It's deep. It's really exciting. Deep energy retrofits. That's what you ask for now. You go to your energy service company and say, I want a deep energy retrofit. And I know how to make sure that happens because I've got the manuals. These are getting really good reviews. There's a lot of people talking about them. We only just released them recently. And the federal government's been interested. We help them write a deep energy retrofit book through FEMP and for federal energy programs. And we're really excited about that. Big things happening. Thank you very much.